So, what did we learn on this adventure? Over the past 5 episodes, we've survived one data disaster after another in our microservices jungle. We've gathered tools for survival, a resilience toolkit, from breaking down data silos to taming wild schemas. In this final episode, we'll unpack that toolkit one more time. We'll recap the big lessons from parts 1 to 5, then gaze ahead to see how we can keep our data ecosystem thriving. Think of it as our survival guide for data systems, past lessons and future compass all in one. Let's dive in. In part 1 and 2, we tackled the dreaded data silo trap. Remember how each team had its own little island of data? Sales data over here, inventory data over there, nothing connected. It was slowing everything down. Without integration, data silos limit an organization's responsiveness and hinder access to crucial info. We fixed that by building bridges, a unified data pipeline that brings those isolated pieces together. A good data pipeline essentially moves data from where it's trapped to where it's needed, efficiently breaking down silos. The result? No more conflicting versions of truth. Everyone draws from the same well of data, and our organization can finally see the full picture. Part 3 dropped us into schema chaos. Picture this. One service changes a data format overnight, maybe a team tweaks a Kafka event schema, and suddenly downstream jobs fail and dashboards break. We actually lived that scenario. A backend update changed an event schema, the ingestion job silently failed, and people woke up to stale, corrupted data. Total chaos. The cure was introducing data contracts. We learned to treat data schemas like a shared contract between producers and consumers. In other words, no surprises. These contracts set explicit rules for what data will look like and how it can evolve. It's a guardrail against schema chaos, a formal agreement so that one team's change doesn't become another team's 2 a.m. incident. Adopting data contracts, with schema registries, versioning, and validation, turned our Wild West into a well-governed town. It's a foundational practice for scalable, trustworthy data systems that saved us from endless broken pipelines. Part 3 also dove into the reporting nightmare. Because each microservice had its own database, trying to get a comprehensive report was like assembling a jigsaw puzzle with pieces missing. Joining data across services was not straightforward at all. Every report turned into a fragile and manual effort. Our solution was to introduce a unified query model. In practice, we introduced a central data pipeline to break down those silos. All services feeding into a single source of truth, the reporting database or data lake. Dashboards were unified and up-to-date, giving everyone the same, consistent answers. The bottom line, we went from having multiple conflicting sources to one reliable source of truth for our reports. No more nightmare. Generating analytics became a one-stop, predictable process. Let's not forget part 4 in our chatty services. We had microservices that wouldn't stop talking to each other. Every user request triggered a cascade of 10+ service calls. It was like a group of people all calling each other for every small decision, leading to high latency and bottlenecks. We learned this erodes the performance advantages of microservices. Our rescue plan involved a few tactics. First, aggregate where possible. For instance, use an API gateway or aggregator service so the client gets everything with one request, instead of ping-ponging between dozens of services. Second, promote data locality. We introduced caching so that services don't need to fetch the same data repeatedly. This way, we cut down those redundant calls. We also talked about the CQRS pattern to separate the system's write side from the read side. And finally, we talked about right-sizing service granularity and using asynchronous messaging when feasible. Effectively, we turned a chatty, noisy architecture into a much quieter, more efficient one. In part 5, we peered into the black box syndrome. Our microservices system was running, but it was essentially opaque. When something went wrong, we were in the dark. Traditional monitoring only told us that symptoms existed, service X is slow, or users are seeing errors, but not Y. As we learned, monitoring shows symptoms, whereas observability shows causes. So, we flipped on the lights with observability. We instrumented everything: centralized logs, metrics, and distributed traces, turning that black box into a glass box. Now, we can follow a single user request through every microservice hop, seeing all the details. With metrics telling us the what and traces showing how it all fits together. We could finally stop guessing and start knowing where issues come from. The once mysterious system is now lit up with dashboards and trace views, making debugging feel like using X-ray vision instead of groping in the dark. Stepping back, we can see our resilience toolkit clearly. What are the foundations that kept our data ecosystem healthy? We have data contracts to prevent schema chaos and keep producers and consumers in sync. We have observability, logs, metrics, tracing, built in from day one, so nothing operates as a black box. We use caching and data locality to reduce expensive chatter between services. In fact, keeping a cache close to services can dramatically cut down on real-time calls and latency. We also established unified data models, like a central pipeline or read replicas, to eliminate silos and ease reporting. We embraced asynchronous communication and fault tolerance patterns, like circuit breakers and retries, so that one failing component doesn't topple the whole system. This checklist, contracts, observability, decoupling, caching, governance, is our playbook for a robust, resilient data ecosystem going forward. So, what's next on our journey? The road ahead is all about staying ahead of failures and scaling gracefully. One big trend is AI-powered observability. Imagine your monitoring system not just collecting data, but actually learning what normal looks like and flagging anything unusual. Advanced algorithms can spot even subtle deviations in patterns, hinting at issues before users notice. This means anomaly detection and even predictive analytics built into ops. Your system might forecast that a database response time will spike and automatically spin up more capacity or alert you, enabling proactive fixes before incidents occur. Another area is platform-led governance. We're indeed moving toward internal platforms that bake in governance rules, things like API standards, access controls, and compliance checks, so developers automatically do the right thing. In an API-first company, for example, having consistent, automated governance across teams creates reliability and ease of use by design. Essentially, the platform itself guides and enforces best practices. We'll also see more self-healing systems. Think services that can restart or reroute automatically when anomalies are detected. And of course, continued focus on scalability. Architectures that can grow and adapt without major overhauls, using techniques like serverless, container orchestration, and multi-cloud resilience. The future data ecosystem runs on automation and intelligence. Our job is to embrace these tools, AI ops, automated governance, scalable design, to keep our data platform not just resilient, but evolving and improving as it grows. And that brings our series to a close. We've journeyed through disasters and solutions to emerge with a data ecosystem that runs like a well-oiled machine, efficient, robust, and ready for the future. But remember, resilience is a continuous journey, not a one-time fix. Keep applying these principles. Break down new silos as they appear, enforce your data contracts, monitor the heck out of everything, and never stop improving your architecture. As your systems scale and new challenges arise, I hope you'll treat these tutorials as a living playbook. Adapt it, add to it, and share it with your team. Thank you so much for watching and learning with us. If you found this series helpful, give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing to stay tuned. Until next time, build resilient systems and may your data ecosystem thrive.